Perfect. All right. Hour two, let's jump into it here. Obviously, we hit on the all-time wide receiver list. Let's keep on going. And here's some of the quotes that we heard from the pressers as Matt Schneidman put a tweet out and said, Jeff Hafley said, quote, I am really proud of the run defense. And Matt Schneidman went on to say the Packers currently rank not in rushing yards allowed per game after ranking 26th from 2021 to 2023 combined under Joe Barry. So huge improvement. Again, we've been watching this in real time every week with Chalk Talk. And we've been telling people all year, like, hey, look, man, this pass rush is really harnessed. It's really harnessed right now.
Right.
Until as we get into the last quarter of the season, that's what they were looking to do. They were looking to kind of control the run. And they've been very, very successful at it. You know, they're talking about them being ranked ninth in rushing yards allowed per game, right? I think the more important statistic, in my opinion, is yards per carry. And the reason being is a team could pound the rock, right? And he may only, he may only gain 3 yards a carry, but if the offense turns the ball over twice and they protect the football and they end up rushing for, say, 140 yards as opposed to 120 yards on minimal carries, but they average per carry. I just feel like yards per carry is the second most important statistic. Now, I feel like that it's the rushing yards over expected is probably the most important statistic because that really, from a running back standpoint anyway. So when you're looking at gauging the defense on rush defense, yards per rush attempt, I think is the most important. When you're looking at it from the offense's perspective in efficiency terms, I think it's the rushing yards over expected. But pretty cool though, man. Rush defense, we talked about this last couple of weeks. It's came on strong, man.
Yeah, it has. And they're really starting to come together. I think that, with Hafley going to that 4-3 one gap approach, everybody has to know their assignment. We've seen that they're not, you watch the Bears, San Fran, they were shooting upfield. I mean, it was when you run past the quarterback and the running back, that's a problem, right? So they got away from all that. Obviously, our sacks aren't there, our numbers aren't there, but it's just like how you're running, man. You get, you could get beat on a crosser if you can't keep up with them. In zones, you got, hot spots in the zones. Cover 2, you got the bunker shot, hole shot. Tampa 2, you walk the seam up, hit them underneath on a dig. So everything has its its counterpoint. I think us deciding to hammer down on the run and force them to pass is perfectly fine because we haven't given up a lot of explosive pass plays. I think that intermediate stuff we need to sort of just ratchet down a little bit more. But again, you have different coverages that give up different things. And I'd rather not give up the explosive and stopping the run, forcing them to pass the ball, I think puts you in a pretty decent spot.
Yeah, explosives are the most important aspect of both sides of the ball for a team. Again, when you hit on explosive, a running play of 10 yards or more or a passing play of 20 yards or more, it triples your chances of scoring on that drive. And that's what teams are trying to get to. That's what teams are trying to prevent. Down in and down out. Antonio Universe says the D tackles look like hungry grizzlies ready to devour the run. I will tell you this, man. Kenny Clark, that last game against the Lions, played his ass off in the running game. There's no two ways about it. So hopefully,
and you mentioned him even getting down on some of those screens and different swing routes, stuff like that. Him retracing. He's like it's been absolutely amazing that Kenny's retrace ability and what he's been able to do. Problem is, he said Jahmyr Gibbs puts his foot in the ground, Kenny can't get to him. So we need more people retracing like Kenny does it. And I love to see now that we haven't gotten, beginning of the season seemed like we kind of ran right through the screens. Now I do see him shed and turn around and run. I mean, they're not even looking at the quarterback anymore. They turn their head and they're going for that back. So I do love that they're getting into it. We just need more.
Yeah, for sure. So John Miller of NBC 26, shout out to him. Go give him a follow. It's at John Miller NBC 26. All right. First time we've seen the Packers 2024 first round pick right guard Jordan Morgan in a few weeks, and he has a sling on his injured right shoulder. Doesn't appear to be coming off injured reserve anytime soon. So my guess is he had surgery. I didn't hear anything about that. Did you hear anything about a surgery, Emilio?
Nope.
I didn't know if I might have overlooked it. So him having a sling, probably going to be the playoffs at the earliest. I would imagine his season might be done. I mean, if he's in a sling right now and we're in week 15, it's going to be a while before Jordan Morgan is ready to go. So just wanted to hit on that.
that would be something. That would be a mad answer, right? But wouldn't that? Do they do? Are they doing one more day of media for him being a Sunday night? Tomorrow, I don't think we'll have anything, right? So it's. I mean, I don't know if we're going to hear about it this week. Is the only
right.
thing.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm not real familiar with the media schedule, but the media availability.
Yeah. So I mean, that's
yeah.
it is, like
You would
said,
think
tough,
he would say something, right?
right?
Like, yeah,
Tough that still in the sling, because if he did have surgery, cool. I'm glad it's getting better, but he's still in the sling. If he didn't have surgery, he's in a sling. And how long ago was that injury? So that's another issue. I know he had the problem is I just hate that he's had it kind of nagging him all year. I think hopefully it'll be one of those ones where it's Christian Watson type thing. Let's hammer it out. Let's get it taken care of and be ready to go next year and just tear it up. I'm all right with that.
Yeah, definitely. So again, shout out to John Miller. I didn't see anyone else tweet that out, so he must have caught it before everybody else. So everybody go give that a like and everything, and give his tweet a like, not mine, and give John Miller a follow over there on Twitter. All right. That may be it. Now we got a couple other things here. So this is kind of cool. Jacob Morley, always thinking one step ahead. Another great follow on Twitter at Jacob Morley. He said 1/3 of the league might be looking to hire a new head coach. All right. And here is who he listed. Almost certainly will be looking for a coach are the New York Giants, the Las Vegas Raiders, the New York Jets, the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Chicago Bears, and the New Orleans Saints. All right. Maybe will be Cincinnati Bengals, New England Patriots, Dallas Cowboys, and the Tennessee Titans. So when you talk about, and he put who ends up where, right? When you talk about Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn potentially getting, head coaching jobs somewhere else, listen, the Packers offense is on fire. Who's to say that Adam Stenavich might not get an offer, right? I don't think the Packers defense has been so good that Jeff Hafley is like one of the top candidates, although all it takes is an interview and you just impress the heck out of somebody. I mean, that's what happened with LaFleur, right? You had Sean McVay's coaching tree that was just it was running rampant through the league. Everybody was so excited about hiring these young coaches out of the Sean McVay coaching tree and the Kyle Shanahan coaching tree. And then all of a sudden you got Matt LaFleur, who came from one of the worst offenses in the league statistically with the Titans. He interviewed and they said, oh my God, this dude's a real deal. So I don't know, man. What do you think about these teams here? You don't necessarily have to guess who's going to go where, but I feel comfortable saying I wouldn't be surprised if each of those teams are looking for a head coach this offseason.
Yeah, I think they have to. They're mostly in dishevel. Giants, I don't even know where to go. Vegas is tough. The Jets, man, you got Aaron Rodgers to deal with everybody else. What's going on there? And then Jags, Cincy, New Orleans, they all have their own issues. My big one is Chicago. Are they going to go back? Can they go back to their ways and just hammer out? What if they took Adam Glenn and just said, hey, we're going to be a defense again. We're going to, let Caleb do his thing with whatever he needs to do. We'll bring in a young mind for the offense. And I want to build a strong defense. Would you be worried at that if, maybe he ran over there and did that?
Again, I'm not a big fan of a defensive coordinator becoming a head coach, right? Like the ones that it's really clicked with, Mike Tomlin in Pittsburgh was a special teams coordinator. He coached in multiple different facets throughout his career. If you go back and look at someone's coaching history, if you get a head coach where it's just defense, typically, in my opinion, they're not going to be a great head coach. Bill Belichick got started as a special teams coordinator. As you guys seen behind the scenes, he was very, very involved with Tom Brady, putting the game plans together offensively, all that stuff. So that's kind of again, you look at today's defensive-minded coaches, and most of them are just, hey, I'll call the defense. Let me hire somebody to run the offense.
Right.
And I feel like that's hard to get an organization over the hump, me personally. Now, what you're seeing in Washington is really phenomenal, but I love what God, I can never remember his name, Quinn, right? Coach Quinn.
Yeah.
Love what he did. He came in and said, you know what, let me go get a head coach that just got fired with an offensive mind and let him run the offense. And obviously brings in Cliff Kingsbury, and it really just gelled really, really well. And hitting an absolute home run with Jaden Daniels as a rookie quarterback. So, yeah, for me personally, man, if you say Clayton, you want Chicago to suck, right? Who do you hope they hire? I hope they hire a defensive-minded coach. I would be okay with them hiring Aaron Glenn.
Yeah.
I think I wouldn't be worried. Now, if they hire Ben Johnson, I'm going, we'll see, because head coach is way different than OC. But to me, that's the best candidate out there right now, personally. So
yeah.
now that Bill's obviously off the table. So
Right.
Coach Lynn says Mike Vrabel could get a shot at OC. Yeah, Mike Vrabel, what's interesting about him is he's another one of those coaches very involved on both sides, right? So we'll see. We'll see what goes on.
I think he'd be more inclined for a head coaching position. When I was listening to the GM Shuffle, they asked Michael Lombardi that one time, and he was kind of like, well, I'm not going to speak for him, but I think that, he's more inclined to kind of hang out and, wait for the right one. He's not going to jump on a grenade just to get back out there. He's got a good rep and everything. That's kind of where his take was. But again, he could be lying because they were already in talks, I'm sure, about being UNC. When I listened to that, it was only a couple of weeks ago. So I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. Ron Samuel says we'll be playing a defensive coach on Sunday. Yeah, with Mike McDonald. And Mike McDonald is a great young coach, right? And he's got Seattle playing pretty good football. Let's see if he can win a ring, right? Like if we go back, who won the Super Bowl last year, Emilio? Chiefs, right?
Chiefs.
That's Andy Reid, offensive coach, right? I'm trying to think of the last team that won it before the Chiefs. Who was it the year before the Chiefs? What was it?
Not the Rams, but that still goes to your point.
It feels like it's a lifetime ago, doesn't it, that you start talking about who won the Super Bowl?
Yeah, Chad, help us out here. Who was before the Chiefs?
I'll go Super Bowl winners. Let's just run through it real quick, okay? It won't take just a second, and I want to see what we've got here, okay? So going back in time here, Kansas City offensive coach, LA Rams offensive coach, Tampa Bay offensive coach, that was Coach Arians, okay? Kansas City offensive coach, New England hybrid, like we talked about with Bill Belichick. If you want to say defense, that's cool. You can say defense. Again, he's very, very involved with game planning the offense. Philadelphia won it. That was an offensive-minded coach. And our boy, what was his name again? Doug Peterson, right? Yeah. New England again, that's Belichick. Denver, the year they won it in Denver, was that – I'm trying to think of who was the coach in Denver that year. Man, I should know that. I want to say that was a defensive coach. I could be wrong.
Yeah, because I remember their defense was so stout. They just had Peyton just dishing it.
Right, yeah.
Real short and kind of turning the ball.
I think John Fox. There you go, Professor Case guy. Thank you, buddy. So that was – correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure he was a defensive-minded coach, right?
Yeah.
I think he was. I think he was like a linebacker coach or something.
Yep.
New England, Bill Belichick. Denver, again, in 2016. I think that was the same coach. Actually, no, we already hit that one. I'm sorry. Denver, New England, Bill Belichick. Then Seattle in 2014. Now we're getting back over 10 years, or right around 10-year mark. That was Pete Carroll, so that was defense, right?
So so if we go back just 10 years, 3 out of the 7 so far were defensive, 3 out of the 10, 7 offensive-minded, 3 defensive-minded.
Right. So, again, it doesn't mean that a defensive coach can't win a Super Bowl.
Right.
But if you're really playing the numbers here, I want that dude. Hey, let me put it this way. You go down and you get down by a couple scores in an important game, you're cooked, in my opinion. If everything about your team is geared around defense, it's going to be really hard to come back on that, right? Like with Chicago right now, Matt Eberflus, right, and the way they built this organization. Matt Eberflus was a great defensive coordinator at Indy. What he did, and when he left Indy, that defense just fell apart, right? Mm-hmm. Great defensive-minded coach. What did you see with the Bears? This year, one of the top defenses in the league, but their offense was absolute cheeks. Where do you think the emphasis was? It was on the defense, right? And what's crazy is when I say emphasis, I'm talking about coaching-wise, right? When you talk about how you built the roster and modeling out that roster, they dumped a ton of resources into on offense. They went and got the number 1 pick in Caleb Williams. Yep. They went out and got 2 number 1 wide receivers, right? Yep. Like they tried to, they got
drafted a wide receiver, number 3 wide receiver at pick 10.
Bingo. So,
or no,
there you go. It's just, it is what it is there. So, again, it doesn't mean a defensive coach can't win one, but it's definitely, in my opinion, offensive coaches have the.
Was Wink was D, right? And then who's the Giants coach right now currently? I forgot. It was
Right now, the New York Giants is Dayball, right?
Yeah. He's
off.
Oh, he's offense. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, he was an offensive coordinator. I think he came up on Bill Belichick's group, and then
didn't Bill coach offense a little at the Browns, or was he only defense at the Browns?
Bill has always been a defensive coordinator / special teamer, but when you hear Michael Lombardi talk about him, he talks about the new age of coaches coming through the ranks, and everybody's just play callers. Like you get all these new, like from the Sean McVay tree, they're just calling the offensive plays. They're just play callers. Give me my sheet. All right, let me hire somebody to run the defense, right? Bill was totally the opposite. Bill was so involved on the offensive side of the ball. Like he was completely embedded in that organization. Hey, look, I'm going to tell everybody exactly what we're looking to do. So that's why it's much different, right? And then like John Harbaugh, who obviously won a Super Bowl with Baltimore, he was a special teams coordinator. And the reason special teams coordinators, to me, I would rather have a special teams coordinator as head coach than a defensive coordinator because they've worked with both sides of the ball. They know how to handle both sides of the ball's personalities, right? So
that's why we were talking about Bisaccia, or people kept asking if Rich was going to get taken after he got that interim job.
Right, exactly. Packers Kingdom says, Clayton, why people say corner is more important than a 3-tech? I just laughed. I was watching, and Chris Jones and Dexter Lawrence in 2021, Kenny Clark, or second half Kenny Clark 2023. Yeah. So again, man, corner is important, but to think that you would rather have the better player out on the boundary where a team can just go, we're not even going to throw over there. We're going to go here. And you got another guy that's literally 12 inches from the football or 2 feet from the football. Like I'm going with that. That's why to me, center's so important too. They touch the ball every single play, man. Every play. So, all righty. Let's move it along here. This right here going to piss some people off. We're going to mention it anyway. Matt Schneidman tweeted out Matt LaFleur on Valentine / Stokes rotation. It'll stay that way. So they're going to continue to rotate them. They see something in Stokes that we don't.
That ain't no problem.
Well, how do you feel about him, man? I know you just hit that ain't no problem, but man, it does. It kind of bothers me, man.
I know. I think that he has to say that though, right? He's got to.
That's a good.
I think he has to say that too. I don't think they want to tear Eric Stokes down for what he's given the team coming back from injury and stuff. I don't think they want to drag him for when he's on his way out the door. You know what I mean? I think they want to give him a chance to go to another team and him not be bottom of the heap. But I do think that it's, Matt has to say it. I think he could probably be a little bit, more stern with it. But again, it's not his, it's not his defense to be worried about. If you wanted to ask that, go ask Jeff that question and see what he's going to give you.
Yeah. Chris in the chat said, Rich Bisaccia is not a great coach. I'm sorry. I have to respectfully disagree, Chris. This is the way I look at special teams. When was the last time we had a blocked punt? I pause for dramatic effect, right? That was a big issue a few years ago. When was the last time we had a botched hold where we missed the field goal off a botched hold, right? When was the last time we had a field goal blocked? Now, when was the last time we had a punt return for a touchdown? When was the last time we had a kick return for a touchdown? You see what I'm saying? Like Daniel Whelan is a top 3 punter. Some say he's the best punter in the game. I think that's still Matt Ariza now that his name has been cleared from all those charges he was facing, right? The punt god is what they refer to him as. When was the last time, like I said, we have a punter that's a top 3 punter, arguably the best punter in the game, right?
Yep.
When was the last time?
We had a block this year. Colby Wooden and Carl Brooks have both had 2 blocks. I mean,
we won our special teams won a football game blocking a field goal, right?
Yeah.
Like my question is, what do you want them to do? What do you want them to do different special teams wise? Because again, I don't look up at games and go, man, how many games this year has our special teams cost us the game? Right. That's the question.
It would have been early in the season when we had Narv kicking for us. That would have been the excuse, which is fair, completely fair. We had a lot of kicker talk, but that could have been Rich saying, hey, we need to figure this out. All right, it's not working. We need to get another kicker. He could have gone to Goody and done that. That's not out of the question there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And like Chris says, well, Coach Lynn says Rich has stepped his game up, been solid this year. I agree. Chris N says, what, Clayton, we can expect more than that. How though? What I'm specifically asking, and I'm not trying to argue. I'm not saying you're wrong and I'm right. I'm asking, what do you want different? Because I see special teams ranking. What special teams ranking? Like, what do you mean? I know there's a guy that does his own special teams ranking, and it's become the popular opinion. Like, oh, this special teams bad. Like, I don't watch the game on Sunday. How many times have you seen us on Chalk Talk hit something and go, hey, guys, this right here really affected the game on special teams? Like, it just doesn't happen.
Yeah. The only times we're getting mad at special teams is when they make a dumb penalty on a hold or something on a punt that Daniel Whelan had already probably knocked inside the 20. I mean, if you take inside the 20s, how often are we giving the ball to our defense in good, defensive position? Let's hold them on it. How often are we giving them long kickoff returns to put them in a bad position? I think that's huge. We're kicking it through the end zone. How's it going to be? I think, Rich is, everybody else was new to the kickoff. I think he's done a good job handling that, letting that not get out of hand. But yeah, I mean, and again, remember, he's still the assistant head coach. He still has that title. That's still somebody they're going to go to that they respect. Who's he talking to on the sideline? Matt. Who's Matt talking to on the sideline? Rich. They're always bumping up to each other, asking, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And then keep going on your way. But he does trust him. I think he's relied upon heavily.
Definitely. And again, I'm just simply asking, like, help me understand the metrics of special teams. Like, if we had, if we had a punt blocked, okay, cool. Yeah, that's definitely something's wrong there. We were screaming it, right? How many years in a row did we get? We literally lost to the Niners off a blocked punt. Now everybody wants to blame Rodgers because he threw the interception, or I can't remember if it was interception. Yeah, it was interception where he chose to go to Devontae across the middle of the field as opposed to a wide open receiver, right? And it's like, yeah, we're forgetting the punt that got blocked and returned, right? Fred McFarley says specifically, I want them ranked as high as his salary ranks among his peers. That's what I'm saying. Like, what ranking are we going off of? I'm genuinely asking, what ranking are we going off of? Is it average field position starting? And what ranking are we? Is it, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Who has the second most blocked field goals in the league since Rich became our special teams coordinator? That would be us. Number one is Pittsburgh. I think we went over that stat. We've had six or eight blocks. So Pittsburgh had 11 or 12. So I mean, that's.
Hey, see, this is perfect right here. Holmes says, "Ask PFF with an exclamation point." They rank teams. So does Next Gen. What you're telling me, Holmes, is you don't know what they're ranking. This goes back to the whole pressure thing, right? Like, all early in the year, there were people going, Gary's garbage. Look at his pressures. I'm going, where are y'all getting these pressure numbers? Like, we go to Next Gen Stats and they're doing the GPS tracking, right? And Gary's all over the quarterback. Like, he's, again, we just showed you last night, he's got a 3% higher pressure rate than TJ Watt. Well, where was that information coming from? PFF. Okay, cool. PFF, show us where you came up with that. Crickets. So we're just, okay, cool. PFF says they're bad, so they're bad. I can't subscribe to that. That's why it's important to watch the tape. And when you watch the tape, where do you see that? Where do you see the bad play on special teams this year? I just don't see it. And again, I'm genuinely asking. And no one can give me a specific answer of, well, they're bad here, they're bad there. Like, remember this play, Clayton? Remember this cluster of plays, right? I can't figure it out. I think it has become a popular thing that Rich Bisaccia is bad at his job. I just don't see it. I really don't, man. And that's the other thing too. Like Prince says, McManus fixed the main special teams issue, right? And it's funny too, Prince, because when Narveson was the problem, when Carlson was the problem, it was Rich Bisaccia's fault. But when we fix the problem and bring in McManus, and we fixed the punting problem, and we got Daniel Whelan, Rich Bisaccia didn't have anything to do with that.
You're an amazing person. You know that, don't you?
And if the argument is we're, 15th in special teams and we want to be 10th, let's go get the 10th best. As long as it doesn't come with the caveat of we're going to have less blocked field goals, we're going to have more blocked punts, all those type of things. That's a wild statistic. I mean, I didn't even know we were that good at blocking field goals, that we were second.
Yeah.
That's pretty wild. So,
that was, I think, since Rich has joined the Packers, We are second in blocked kicks. I think we've had. I want to say it's 6 or 8. Mike or Wes brought that stat up.
Mm-hmm. Fred McFarley says we were 29th last year. I'm not sure if that's referring to special teams or not. 29th in what? That's again like what does that encompass? That's what I'm asking. So again, I don't want to sit here and talk in circles, but that's kind of how I see special teams. I remember when they were losing us game after game after game, and I said, I just want a special teams that's not going to lose us the game, right? And I feel like we're there now. Now, the biggest issues I feel like on the team, if you were to try to spotlight the biggest issues on the team right now, it's tough to really go, hey, if we just had this, we would be way better. Because when you look at like the pass rush, which has been a big issue this year, when you look at that, you go, okay, what's causing that? The tape suggests, hey, we're really keen in on trying to stop the run, right? So it's give and take all the way across the board. So seeing people saying they posted a link. What link are we talking about?
I think he said glossing in Dallas ranks. Honestly.
Yeah, so that's it. See, I think that's the guy that everybody talks about, that he ranks the special teams. So I don't. Again, I
was going to say, honestly, I didn't even know what he was talking about. I never even heard of that.
Right. And it's a guy that he every year he puts out his special teams rankings, right? And to me, it's no different than someone's power ranking, right? They're saying, okay, here's how I think the special teams are. But there it is. He said he does them at the end of the year. I would love to know the formula, Fred. If you could find the formula, message it to me, man, for sure. Because I'd love to see his formula on how he kind of ranks everything. Because again, we haven't had a block punt. We haven't had a block field goal. Obviously the kick return game is, the new rules are just absolutely crazy right now. Like it's kind of neutralized all the kick. Has there been one kick return for a touchdown this year?
Yeah, there was one.
Yep. So there's only been one. Is that what it is?
I'm pretty sure. I forgot who it was, but I want to say that I know that there's only been one this year so far.
Yeah. All right. So, I mean, it seems like the chat is pretty unified, though, if I'm looking at this correctly. Adding Bisaccia to the bum list with Myers, Slade, Musgrave, and Stokes will chisel the stone tomorrow. There
wow.
You go. Right. And then United Bates says that McManus, 91.7% field goal. That's tied for 8th. And the thing that makes me the happiest, 100% on extra points, LOL. So, kicking's pretty much fixed, right? Got a big leg, too, He's going to give you a shot at one of those 55-plus yarders. He's definitely got the leg power to hit that. So,
and I was looking at I think it was Rick Gosling, his website, I guess, from the 2023 rankings. I just scrolled down to the bottom. Yeah, he had us at 29th with 452 points, whatever that is. And I just scrolled down the categories. None of the Packers showed up in 0 of the worst categories. So gotcha. We're bottom 4, but ended up worse on none.
Does he specify what the categories are?
The categories: kickoff returns, punt returns, kickoff coverage, punt coverage, starting point, opponent starting point, punting, net punting, inside the 20 punts, opponent punting, opponent net punting, field goals, field goal percentage, opponent field goal percentage, extra point percentage, points scored, points allowed, blocked kicks, opponent blocked kicks, takeaways, giveaways, and penalties. Mm-hmm. Okay, that was all right. There it is. I find it. The last one was.
I find it.
That's on me. The last one, the worst, the one category we showed up worst in was Green Bay, 19 penalties for 178 yards.
So
that was terrible last year, yeah. But we struggled last year. We were 3-6. I mean, we didn't even think we were going to make the playoffs. So compared to this year, I'd like to see his numbers at the end of this season.
I was going to say, yeah, this will be a good measuring stick, right? If we're going to take, that guy's kind of rankings as the gospel is the most important thing, right? Knucklehead right. Paul B says, "Don't jinx it, Clayton." Talking about the kicks not getting blocked. Which one get blocked this week? That'd be absolutely horrible. Absolutely horrible.
Get out of the way now.
All right. Let's see here. Greg Rice says, so Rich was crap when we had every kicker before McManus. Now he is outstanding. Again, that was the measuring stick we were using, right? What have those kickers done in other places? You know, that's the only way to really cross-reference that. I guess maybe my bar is way too low because I'm telling you, man, looking at the chat, I feel like I am definitely in the minority with this opinion. So the chat seems to think get rid of Bisaccia.
Yeah, and PFF has us at 31st right now with a 59 special teams grade. But then you have New England Patriots, their special teams grade is a 90, Denver Broncos a 90, Cincinnati's a 90, Arizona Cardinals is a 90, Detroit's is an 89, Dallas is an 88 in their special teams. Did we not see the dude just touch the ball? I mean, I feel bad for the guy. They said on the podcast he only played 8 snaps on special teams all year, but dude touched the ball after the punt got blocked downfield. So once that happens, live ball, it's over. Like, that's not you know what I mean? That's not a mistake that would bump them down at all. That's it. That's all I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and when you look at the special teams grades of PFF, I kind of put them in that group with the run blocking. You know, it's like I
right. Well, that's what I'm saying. You got a 5 teams in the 90s. You probably have 10 in the 80s and another 15. You know, in the another 10 in the 70s. You have 2 teams under 60, and we're one of them. It's like, all right, that's cool. And then there's only 4 more 60 teams. So, I mean, that's a broad number for all the teams.
I love it. United Base says, I'm also seeing 6 kickoff returns for touchdowns this year. Turpin, Nwangwu, I hope I'm saying that right. Dallas, Chenault, Jones, and Thomas each have 1. So there's been 6 touchdowns this year.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, I'd like to see what the ratio is too. Bates, you probably can't find this. Don't worry about looking it up. But it feels like Keyshawn hasn't had many opportunities, right? They just keep on kicking it into the end zone. I'd like to see like how many actual returns netted that, because it might be it might even be way better than Keyshawn too. It might be they had less attempts than Keyshawn. That, to me, that would probably be the true measuring stick there, I would imagine. So, let's see here in the chat. Coach Lynn says, didn't Rich call out his special teams for a blocked field goal? And we got one versus the Bears. There you go. He called out the play. You guys remember, he was the one who caught it on tape, took it to Matt. Wasn't Matt talking about that the next week?
Yep.
Imagine that.
Yep. He said, if we don't get out of here without a block, I will be disappointed, not happy. He was like, I will not understand if we don't get out of here without a block.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just need that mentality. You know, they had a couple chances at it too. It's not like we didn't have a couple extra points to try to block, and it just came up in the most important part of the game.
Yeah. Emilio, I seen your comment, Emilio. Fire Joe Barry. As Prince summed it up perfect, and we'll move on here. We're almost out of time. It's funny we spent that much time on special teams. It's hilarious. Prince in the chat says the lynch mob comes for everyone eventually. Sorry, Rich. So that's definitely the mentality for sure in Packers Nation. All right, let's see. Injury report. We got to hit this real quick because some things we did get a few updates here. This video that we got playing in the background, as we were talking special teams, it played the whole time.
We're just doing that thing.
Matt Schneidman tweeted out, I put Jair Alexander was full participation again today. Matt Schneidman said, we'll see later if Jair Alexander is logging his second straight day of full participation. Would be a great sign for his availability Sunday night in Seattle. Javon Bullard, the only DMP again. So it's Jair was full participation. You can see him on this video. Looks good cutting. Everything looks good. Knee looks healthy.
Dude, and the reverse back open, you know. Could have made it easy on himself and just turned to the ball, but nope, let's go all the way around, make sure I'm, loose and limber. I like it.
Yeah. And since we're kind of hitting on the injury report, let's go ahead and pop that up on the screen and see what changed in that regard. So there you go. All right. Dogs are fired up. Lincoln, as soon as y'all started talking about firing Rich Bisaccia, Lincoln was at the door smacking it, man. I had to text Mandy to come get him. He was like, what the hell is going on in there? I want to know what's going on. So it looks like as far as the injury report, the only thing that changed, Kenny Clark, veteran rest, he was back today, limited. Travis Glover, tackle, was sick. He was limited Wednesday. He's now full participation on Thursday. Elton Jenkins, veteran rest, limited participation today, so he was back. Rasheed Walker with the knee injury was full participation Wednesday, and he was limited Thursday. That kind of raised a little eyebrow with me, Emilio. Like, did he tweak something? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Could be the case. And then Evan Williams with the concussion, limited participation Wednesday, was full participation today. It's my understanding that the technical stance on that is they were both he and Romeo Dobbs are both still in concussion protocol, but I'm pretty sure they're on schedule to clear there. So what do you think about this? Anything you want to add to the Packers side of the injury report here?
No, I think that I'm happy with the list. It's not a big receipt. I think that the veteran rest even pushes it out even more. So we're in pretty good shape with that. Luke coming back, that's just another one added. And then, you're hoping, and it looks like we're good to go on everybody that we knew was coming back. I feel bad for Bull. I hope he gets back all right. And, I really get Ja out there would be big.
Yeah. Let's see. Going back to the special teams real quick, I see we got some information coming in. Biz, I apologize for the dogs, guys. Special teams has been so improved. Don't understand this complaining. Feel like I'm taking crazy pills. That's how I've seen it too, Biz. But again, you and I are in the minority, and anytime we're in the minority on this show, it's Packer fan total access. We want to try to identify, okay, what are we missing here, right? If there's just a couple of us that disagree, we're missing something for sure. So, yeah.
And so Holmes said here contextually, I'm quite happy with special teams. The grading obviously is obscure and probably not reflective.
Yeah, I can see that.
And then we'll go to Mr. United Bates. He said here, Nixon is tied 11th in attempts with 11 returns. 3 of those touchdowns, which he had previously gone over, came from players with more attempts, 21, 16, and 15, and 3 with less attempts, 7, 5, and 3.
Gotcha. So Keyshawn has definitely not been the best kick returner this year. Am I wrong for saying that, Emilio?
No, I think you only have a couple of chances. You got to make do with them. 21 attempps.
Other people are, right?
Right, yeah, and the one that he took out that we're not happy with was when he took that one late out, and we needed a better possession, didn't get far. I think that he's still trying to hammer out how he wants to return those, and he also doesn't get a lot of attempts, and when he does, it's they're kind of baiting him into it, or they want him to kill clock kind of thing. So yeah, but not the best this year, no. But I'd say we got our $6 million out of him, putting him in the slot and outside, back into the slot, and then back outside. I think that's huge.
Yeah, and Bates says last year he led the league in attempts at 30. So there you go.
And he kind of forced attempts last year, right? I think he's trying to get used to forcing them this year. I think it's a lot different with that wall of them right in front of you.
Yeah, Coach Lynn says people still mad about the block punt versus the Niner a year ago, bro. I hate thinking about it. There would be nothing better than me wanting to turn on playoff tape of snow flying at Lambeau Field, and I still can't watch that game because that block. I know it's at the end. It's just so frustrating, man. So frustrating. But all right, so on the Seattle Seahawks side of the injury report, we'll put the special teams talk to bed. We're good there, right? We covered it all. Seattle Seahawks, the things that changed, Michael Dixon, their punter with the back injury, was limited Wednesday. He was upgraded to full participation today. Jonathan Hankins was back. He was a veteran rest. Ernest Jones had a knee and veteran rest. He was limited now. He is improved to did not participate to limited. Tyler Lockett with veteran rest went from did not participate to full participation. Abraham Lucas, tackle with the knee and the veteran rest, full participation Wednesday, but did not participate today. So he must have been added in with the knees, what it sounds like there. Boye Mafe, linebacker, veteran rest, full participation today. DK Metcalf with the shoulder, full participation on Wednesday and was limited today. So DK Metcalf, one of their home run threats there at wide receiver, is dealing with the shoulder. So
fun fact on DK, Rich Bisaccia actually coached his dad at Old Miss when he was coaching younger. He said, Rich in his interview said that it's the second time that he's had a son of a player he's coached. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. That is a cool little nugget. Jaron Reed, veteran rest, he was back. Brady Russell with the foot injury was limited on Wednesday. He's a tight end. Limited on Wednesday, did not participate today, so he might have had a setback. Lakin Tomlinson, guard, veteran rest, was full participation. And then Leonard Williams, defensive end, with the foot injury and veteran rest, did not participate Wednesday. He was back limited on Thursday. So, again, their injury report looks a lot longer than ours, but keep in mind that a lot of veteran rest there for sure. So We don't have a lot of veteran rest because we don't have a lot of veterans, right? That's the way it works. That's one of the
if they're getting beat up now. I mean, if that receipt's this long now, imagine what they're going to be dealing with as playoff time comes around.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So I thought this was cool. Kevin Gallagher tweeted this out. I thought it was a sick shot. He put out the Golden Boy Packers halftime. Packers halfback Paul Hornung gallops into the Maryland mist. If you guys are listening on the pod, just a really cool shot. Old grainy picture of Paul Hornung with the Colts chasing them, and you can kind of see it looks like the Packers are leading there 35-27 before what appears to be another touchdown there. Love too on the scoreboard. Look at the scores around the league there. I bet that was a big deal back then to be able to get those scores.
Yeah, and then updating them. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
they already had the names hammered in. Those are set in stone. We can't change those very easily, but we can change digits.
Exactly. All right, so that was Twitter. We wanted to get into the PFF grades today for the Seahawks preview and kind of compare and contrast with our offense against their defense and vice versa. Obviously, we ran out of times. We hit the special teams pretty handily though, right? So we're good to go there.
Chris said my fault, Clayton. We threw the show off.
No. Hey, don't apologize, Chris. Man, that's what we're here for, dude. Listen, I feel like the special teams isn't an issue. But again, the fact that so many people were saying it is, it's what it's going to do because we make each other better here. It's going to make me look into it a little bit further. Like, damn, I didn't realize we were bad. I thought we were doing pretty good. So I need to dig a little deeper. You guys
put a little bubble on the track sheet for the game day, and we'll keep an eye on a little special eye on special teams. Try to make notes.
Maybe special teams penalties. That would be a good thing to track this week.
Yeah,
definitely. That's definitely something that many people think, hey, that's a coaching thing, right? You're not putting enough emphasis on not getting
that or kickoffs through the end zone. Are we trying to delay them in? Maybe that's just something we got to add. But bringing it to our attention is the only way to do that. And again, throwing that back at you, Clayton. Carl K says, "Don't apologize for the dogs. They're okay."
Appreciate you, buddy. Appreciate you. You guys know by now this show sucks, so you're expecting stuff like that. That's the way it goes. Emilio, you got anything else, buddy? Anything else at all?
No, dude. I'm happy to be here. Glad we got off track, but that's about what you and I do.
Man. That's what we do.
No, man. I'm glad we got to go over it all. I think that we have a good opponent coming up playing against Seattle. In Seattle is going to be a good one. Another nugget was, I believe they're 3-4. They've actually lost 4 at home this year. They have only lost 1 on the road. So let's see if we can't, get that crowd out of it early, keep the 12th man quiet, and just, take it to them.
Absolutely. It's going to be huge, man, to get something rolling there early, try to jump out to an early lead. They're very pass heavy.
Yep.
So that's probably going to be one of those games where don't be surprised if they fall behind by a couple touchdowns and then you look up and it's tied up again, right?
Another nugget. Wes and Mike were talking. Geno has taken 40 sacks this year, 272 yards, I believe. So that's what 7 yards a sack dude is taking because they're asking him to take deep drops, 5-7 step drops, hold the ball, move the pocket, get the long routes developed. That's tough. But he said, but they didn't give up any sacks last game. Yeah. So what kind of O-line are we going to get? I think we'll be able to dive into the numbers here coming up tomorrow and stuff and see.
Yeah. Bates in the chat says, we love good discussion. Chris, Coach Lynn, opinions are welcomed here. Definitely. And he also went on to say, you're good, Chris. And Coach Lynn also said, when we get off track, those are some of the best conversations. It's so true, man. That's when you truly learn. Like when you hear opposing opinions. I wish our damn government would try that for once, right? And like, hey, why don't we sit down and hear each other out here a second rather than entering our echo chambers? So it's important to have those discussions for sure. But Greg Rice says, Chris in, sit your butt out.
Sit your butt outside.
There you go, buddy. Might be the best drop on the whole rotation.
Yeah.
Emilio, thanks for joining me, dude. This was fun, man. Appreciate
Absolutely.
you. All right. We'll be back in the morning at 8:30 a.m. Central for Good Morning Lambeau. I think Tim will.
Bon dia.
Here it is. I think Tim might be back with me, and we may have a special guest too. I got to get a confirmation on that, but we'll see how that goes. So everybody have a great evening. Thank you all so much for hanging out with us and making us a part of your night. For those of you listening on the pod, thank you for making us a part of your day. As always, let's go out and be the change we want to see in the world. Go Packers.
And we go. We out.
Bye, guys.